Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. Creatures that have been extinct for millions of years spread across the planet and start a dominance dispute with humans. Today we will recap the story of the movie, Jurassic World: Dominion, from 2022. A group of fishermen are on a boat on the high seas when they are suddenly attacked by a mosasaur. The beast emerges from the depths and swallows the ship, causing all the men to fall into the ocean. It's been 4 years since the dormant volcano on Isla Nublar erupted, and humans still haven't found a way to peacefully coexist with the dinosaurs. In order to further study the biology of these animals, Louis Dodgson, the director of the multinational Biosyn Genetics, has set up a sanctuary in the Dolomite Mountains in Italy. However, it is rumored that a human clone was manufactured by scientists working at the company and has been missing since the destruction of Jurassic World. The girl is being sought all over the world and is genetically identical to Charlotte Lockwood, the late daughter of Benjamin Lockwood, co-founder of Jurassic Park. Claire Deering, a former employee of Isla Nublar, is currently working to rescue dinosaurs that are traded on the illegal market. She and her friend arrive at an irregular breeding center and film all the precarious situation to which the animals are subjected. In the warehouse, the pair spots a triceratops isolated from the others, and Zia realizes that the animal is almost dying. So Claire decides to release him, because she knows that even when she makes the report about the existence of that place, the department will take days to release them and the baby won't last that long. So they drag the cage out and enlist Franklin's help to get the little one into the van. Just then, the criminals appear and Claire takes the wheel. The trio is chased by 2 pickup trucks and infiltrates a herd of triceratops to have a better chance of getting out of this alive. Luckily, the dinosaurs do the job of getting rid of the smugglers' vehicles and the van goes on its way. Meanwhile, Owen Grady is in the mountains of Nevada driving a herd of Parasaurolophos to safety. When one of them gets separated from the rest of the herd, Owen uses a rope to lasso the animal and manages to secure it to a tree trunk. Gradually, the man wins his trust and guides him back to join the rest of his group. Because she is being hunted all over the country, Maisie Lockwood lives in hiding in the mountains, but every now and then she goes for a bike ride around town, even though she knows that doing so puts her life at risk. Since the girl's grandfather passed away, Claire has decided to take care of her and tries to keep the girl hidden from the world, as she believes this is the only way to keep her safe. However, Maisie cannot contain her adventurous spirit and dreams of being free. She feels bad knowing she is a clone of someone else, but Claire assures her that the young woman is no less special because of it. Just then, Owen arrives home and is greeted by his peculiar family. After kissing her boyfriend, Claire tells him that Maisie has gone to the city again, and they both realize that they won't be able to keep her in that place forever. A few meters away live Blue and her baby, who is genetically identical to her. The dinosaur intends to teach Beta to hunt, but are interrupted when a wolf appears and devours the poor rabbit. That night, as the small family gathers around a campfire, Rain Delacourt contacts his boss and tells him that she has followed Owen to his house. Besides finding the young clone he was looking for, he also found Blue and her daughter. In Texas, 2 young kids are tending their family's chickens when they spot a giant insect on the wooden fence. Then thousands of locusts appear from the middle of the field and destroy everything in their path. In an attempt to protect themselves, the children run to the barn and hide there until the attack is over. The next day, Ellie Sattler is called to the site to investigate and discovers that the locusts have already attacked more than 60 crops. However, the woman notices that her neighbor's plantation remains intact and discovers that this has happened because they use seeds supplied by Biosyn. Suspicious that it was the industry itself that created those mutant pests to increase the value of its seeds, Ellie travels to Utah to reunite with an old friend. Alan Grant is an experienced digger and is amazed to see such a large grasshopper. The woman then says that if these insects continue to reproduce, thousands of people will starve. Ellie says she suspects that Biosyn is responsible for creating those creatures and asks Alan for help in getting concrete evidence to incriminate the company. Maisie is lighting a fire when she sees Beta for the first time. As she approaches, Blue appears and Owen orders the girl not to move. The man approaches his old friend and she leaves. He then decides to follow her and asks Maisie to go back to the cabin. Furious, the rebellious teenager takes her bicycle and goes for a ride. What she didn't realize was that she was being watched by Rain, who warns the criminals where the young girl is. Meanwhile, some hunters capture Beta and knock Blue off a cliff. Owen hears his friend's desperate cries, but is unable to stop her baby from being taken away. Maisie is crossing a bridge when she is surrounded and captured by criminals. From a distance, Owen sees what has happened and returns to the cabin to warn Claire that the girl has been taken. The man grabs his gun and is ready to go after the demented ones when Blue shows up. The dinosaur is stunned that she has lost her baby, but Owen promises that he will bring her back. In an attempt to find out who captured Maisie, Claire asks her friend for help and Franklin manages to spot the hunter. The boy tells him that some of his coworkers are undercover in that group of criminals and can help them discover Rain's whereabouts. Ellie and Alan travel to the Biosyn sanctuary and are met by Ramsey Cole, the director's right-hand man. The young man takes them to the company's headquarters and they are finally able to meet Lewis. However, the man is very busy and asks Ramsey to take a tour to introduce the place to the guests. The first stop is a room where a lecture is being given by Dr. Ian Malcolm, a talented mathematician specializing in chaos theory. At the end of class, Ian goes to talk to his old friends. While they wait for their coffee to be ready, the mathematician tells them the truth about the locusts and gives Ellie a key to break into basement 6, where the insects are hiding. Meanwhile, Dr. Henry Wu explains to Lewis that the locusts are multiplying at high speed and have become more resilient than ever. The scientist says that they need to eliminate all the insects that have been released into the wild, but Lewis refuses to do this so as not to arouse suspicion against Biosyn. In an attempt to calm Wu down, the man tells him that Maisie and the baby dinosaur have been found. This way, the scientist will be able to use his DNA to reverse the locust's mistake. Kayla Watts is receiving her payment for transporting the baby dinosaur in her aircraft when she spots Maisie. She realizes that the girl was in trouble, but decides not to meddle so as not to risk being punished. By this time, Claire and Owen have arrived in Italy and meet up with Barry, their former coworker. The couple is then taken to an underground fighting ring, where dozens of dinosaurs are forced to duel and do forced labor. As soon as she meets Kayla, Claire realizes that the woman is also American and asks for her help in finding Maisie. However, the pilot says she cannot help her because if she does, her life will be in danger. Soyona Santos is the leader of the smugglers and congratulates her henchmen for managing to capture the girl and dinosaur alive. Now Rain and Wyatt will have to transport a new cargo, a truck full of caged atrociraptors. These violent dinosaurs are trained to brutally eliminate anyone their leader orders. When the criminals are taking the money, undercover agents show up to arrest them, but Rain and Soyona manage to escape. In order to find out where Maisie has been taken, Owen goes after the demented man while the agents overturn the truck that is being used to transport the dinosaurs. In order to create a distraction for his escape, Rain releases 2 predators from their cage. However, Owen manages to get rid of the creatures and begins a hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. As Rain is knocked down, his arms are swallowed by 2 dinosaurs and he can't get up, so Owen takes the opportunity to get information out of him. The man says that he gave the girl to Soyona and then had no further news about her. Owen decides to go look for the woman and leaves Rain behind to be devoured. Upon being surrounded by the agents, Soyona releases the atrociraptors and uses a laser beam to mark the targets. Immediately, the men must flee to avoid being devoured, so Claire appears and takes a stun gun used to control the dinosaurs to attack Soyona. During the fight, Claire manages to defeat her and discovers that her daughter has been taken to Biosyn. Just then, an atrociraptor appears and Soyona lasers the woman. Now Claire becomes the new target and must flee to avoid being devoured. The dinosaur chases her and runs down the stairs of a building at high speed. To survive, she must jump into the building next door and, seeing the redhead in trouble, Kayla decides to help her. When Claire falls into the back of a truck, the pilot gets into the vehicle and drives away. Barry was about to be torn apart when Owen shows up and saves his old friend. They are surrounded by the creature and Barry lures it into the cage. Soon after, Owen locks the door. While Barry announces Soyona's arrest, Owen receives a call from Claire and discovers that Maisie has been taken to Biosyn. The man then runs to find her and Soyona activates the laser in his direction, causing him to be chased by 2 predators. The other monster is behind the truck Kayla is driving, but Claire manages to get rid of it with the aid of a metal bar. While driving through the city streets, Owen sees countless people being devoured by giant dinosaurs, but there is nothing he can do, as he is struggling to survive. The 2 women have already arrived on the plane and Owen appears shortly after. At Claire's request, Kayla opens the rear compartment and the biker manages to get on the plane before it takes off. One of the monsters manages to catch up with him, but when the plane takes off the creature slips out of the compartment and falls into the sea along with Owen's motorcycle. Now the trio is on their way to Biosyn Sanctuary. Meanwhile, Ramsey gives Ellie and Alan 30 minutes to tour the facility before they meet at the hypersonic train station. In his lab, Dr. Wu explains to Maisie why he needs her to finish his research. The man says that Blue has DNA from a monitor lizard, a reptile that can reproduce without any partner. Therefore, Blue and her chick are genetically identical. That is what these animals have in common with Maisie and Charlotte, her late mother. The young scientist loved dinosaurs, and Wu says she was brilliant. Like Blue, Charlotte managed to generate a daughter on her own and raised her with her own DNA. When Maisie was still a baby, her mother started showing symptoms of a genetic disorder, and this is what killed her. However, before she left, Charlotte found a cure and managed to alter her daughter's DNA so that she would not suffer from the same disease. The scientist was able to alter every cell in Maisie's body, and Wu wants to study the girl to find out how this was possible. In this way, the man will be able to alter the DNA of the giant locusts he created. Disguised as employees, Ellie and Alan enter the lab and go after the locusts to get a DNA sample to compare with the genome of the insects that are attacking the crops. In this way, they will be able to prove that Biosyn is a corrupt company that needs to be eliminated by the government. While Dr. Wu is talking to Louis, Maisie opens the cage where Beta is and releases her. At that moment, she takes the opportunity to flee, and an alarm begins to sound. Because of the noise, the grasshoppers become agitated and attack the pair. When they finally manage to get out of the room, they find the girl and the three of them decide to run away together. Claire and Owen are approaching the sanctuary when Kayla's plane is attacked by a Quetzalcoatlus, a pterosaur that lived at the end of the Cretaceous period. The aircraft is falling and Claire's seat is the only one with a parachute. Therefore, Owen asks her to survive and save Maisie. With no other choice, the woman ejects, and when her parachute opens, other pterosaurs appear to devour her. During the attack, the tarp is destroyed, but luckily the seat has a spare parachute and she is able to descend safely. When they arrive at the train station, Ellie and Alan are surprised to discover that Ramsey was, all this time, trying to help them get the locust DNA and helps the trio escape. Claire is hanging from a tree and trying to free herself from her seatbelt when a therizinosaur approaches. Without noticing the woman's presence, the creature attacks a poor deer with its sharp claws and Claire takes the opportunity to escape. She crawls through the forest and decides to hide in a lake when she notices that she is being chased. When the monster leaves, she continues on her way towards the facility. Even after the plane crash, Owen and Kayla manage to survive and walk under a frozen lake. They must be very careful not to break the ice, but the whole plan goes up in smoke when a predator covered in feathers appears. The creature dives into the lake and swims beneath its prey. Immediately, the duo runs away, but the ice breaks and Owen falls into the water. He was about to be devoured when Kayla pulls him out and a new escape begins. Fortunately, they make it to a bridge and run straight to the elevator. In this way, the duo manages to survive. Through the signal emitted by the ejector seat, they manage to find Claire's landing site, but there is no sign of the woman. Then a Tyrannosaurus appears and takes the opportunity to devour the deer lying dead on the ground. Just then, a Giganotosaurus arrives on the scene and steals the food from the T-Rex, who runs away scared. In his office, Louis is visited by one of the facility's security guards who shows him a recording of Ellie and Alan stealing a DNA sample from the locusts, and the main suspect of having helped them is Ian. Louis then shuts down the power that moves the train, and the trio must look for another way out. Meanwhile, the director requests Ian's presence in his office and states that he is fired. With Ramsey's help, Ian steals a vehicle to go save his friends. Alan climbs a ladder looking for a tunnel, but is startled to find a scary dinosaur chasing them. Everywhere they go, the trio spots new predators and runs until they reach a dead end. They try to open the metal gate to escape and Ian arrives to help them. The mathematician tries to figure out the password to unlock the door, but Ramsey manages to help him and unlock the gate remotely. Meanwhile, Claire is in the forest trying to reach the facility without being devoured when a Dilophosaurus approaches. However, before the animal has a chance to attack her, Owen shows up and, with Kayla's help, manages to get rid of it. In order to avoid being framed for creating the giant locusts, Louis orders his employees to eliminate them all and the incinerator is activated. Upon being attacked, the creatures go into despair and manage to destroy the containment chamber. They then fly off into the forest with their bodies on fire. Ian is driving when he is surprised by the rain of flaming insects and ends up overturning the vehicle. Despite the accident, everyone remains unharmed and is soon found by Owen and Claire, who are extremely relieved to see the girl again. When the Giganotosaurus appears and the group must flee immediately. Ian was the only one to stay behind and hide inside the vehicle. When the whole team is surrounded and has nowhere else to go, the man appears and catches the predator's eye with a grasshopper skewer in his hands. Just as the animal is about to attack him, the mathematician throws the burning insect into its mouth and everyone manages to enter the facility. However, the Giganotosaurus does not give up its dinner and breaks the glass to try to capture them. The animal decides to leave when Claire uses the stun gun on its eye. Now, the group needs to find an aircraft to get safely out of the sanctuary and Ramsey shows up to help them. Before leaving, Owen goes off in search of Blue's cub in order to fulfill the promise he made to his friend. However, in 10 minutes, he must be back in order to catch the helicopter. Maisie and Alan decide to accompany him to help and distract Beta so that Owen can hit a tranquilizer dart into her neck, as the entire forest is on fire. Louis is forced to evacuate the facility. He then hitches a ride on the hypersonic train, but the power goes out and he is trapped in the mine. The businessman must get out of the vehicle and walk through the tunnel, but is pursued and devoured by Dilophosaurs. When the group is reassembled, Dr. Wu appears and asks for permission to access Maisie's DNA in order to fix the ecological disaster he has created. The girl then decides to help him and everyone runs out of the facility, because Kayla is already waiting in the helicopter. However, before they can escape from that place, the group is surprised by the arrival of the sanctuary's two top predators, who begin a bloody battle to decide who is dominant. During the brutal duel, the group must run to avoid being hit and witness the victory of Giganotosaurus who, within minutes, manages to defeat his enemy. Suddenly, Therizinosaurus appears and starts a new battle. T-Rex, who seemed to be dead, at that instant gets up and joins the feathered dinosaur to defeat a common enemy. At the end of the fight, Giganotosaurus ends up being killed with his body pierced by Therizinosaurus claws. The next morning, a news crew arrives on the scene and the former Biosyn employees begin to expose the company's terrible secrets. On this day, Ellie and Alan finally get into a relationship after so many years of being separated by fate. After saving Maisie, the couple can return home in peace with a sense of accomplishment. In the following weeks, Dr. Wu discovered a solution to the ecological crisis he caused and managed to alter the DNA of the locusts. The UN has decreed that the valley where Biosyn's headquarters is located should become a world sanctuary, where animals can live free and protected from the outside world. As soon as he returns home, Owen fulfills his promise to Blue and takes her baby girl back to her. Before leaving, the dinosaur says goodbye to her old friend and Owen returns home with his family. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.